Coming up this week on the Center of It All, we take a look back at some of our favorite stories from 2016. Welcome to the Center of It All and 2017. This week we take a look back at some of our favorite stories and most memorable moments from this past year. So first we start out with a group of kids who gave back in a big way. Here's former host Andrew Callista.
Coming out here and knowing it's for a great cause, it's one of those things we look forward to coming. And I've always noticed, we could be having a really bad day, and as soon as we get to the job site, we just hammer things out because we know it's for a good cause. So there's that enthusiasm on top of this, you're doing something great that most kids don't get the chance to do.
Developed 3 years ago, E.P. Henry's HeroScape serves as a way to give back to those who have served our nation. And while each project is great in its own respect, here in central Pennsylvania, the project pulls double duty.
It's a way for them to get real hands-on industry specifications for the base, for the material, for leveling, all that, even right down to the cutting. So these live work projects give us an opportunity to get out of the classroom, be on a live job site and work and be successful at it.
When we get all this coverage, which we never expected to have, we see all this news coverage and everybody's, oh, that's such a great thing, you guys are so amazing, that's outstanding. They're shocked and put back by how much we've been able to accomplish and how great it is. And to us, that's just well, we never thought of it that way. To us, this is second nature. To everybody else, this is you guys are high school students and you do amazing things.
Amazing projects bring out the best in everyone involved. Something easy to see up close.
We donated material to the Central Pennsylvania Home Show, and then with the expectation that material was going to be used in the HeroScaping project. Little did I know that CPI and Joe Luther stepped right up for the program and helped us out that first year with a project at the Legion in State College. It's just very nice to be able to give back to everybody that's given so much to us. 83
nominations were vetted. Vince Reynolds of State College was chosen.
Every time they're out here, I try to go out and associate with them and, just try to be on a personal level. I mean, they're doing such an enormous, thing for me. The least I can do is, be humble and friendly with them. I'm just going to share my story with them too, so they understand, that, what I do and how I deserve such a thing. Because in my eyes, I don't deserve this. That's I guess that's what gets me the most.
Simply put, Vince deserves this. His story is that he was ready to re-up before an IED took his lower left leg in Afghanistan. He's grateful that the students work to rebuild part of his past.
Minor change is an understatement for what it's going to be. Now I can, if we want to have family gatherings and stuff like that, we were kind of limited before, whereas where I used to live, we had some land and we were able to do things like that. Now, we have that capability once again. Another big thing is the one thing that I requested was a fire pit. My daughters have been pestering me to cook s'mores and stuff like that, and when we used to have land, we used to be able to have bonfires and do stuff like that, and then we moved closer to town and didn't have the means to do that, and they put a fire pit in for us, and now we can do that stuff again. And yesterday I actually brought her by the house, and she was so excited to see it.
This project, the students, E.P. Henry, and myself can never fully repay Vince, but what it can do is at least bring back a smile.
These type of projects do change, a person because, Vince has been great. He's been telling his story. I mean, he tells the story to the students.
That final wow factor that they have seen construction through the whole way, but the final end polished result is really nice for them to see, and it's great to see their reaction to that.
I just would like to thank every single person that's been involved. It's been such a pleasant experience, and like I said, I personally don't think I deserve something like this. I'm honored that they are willing to do that for me.
When we come back, we continue our yearly journey with a blast of heat. Welcome back. Our next story was one of my favorites to film because it was something I knew absolutely nothing about. And after that, we take a look at a gas station that gives more than just fuel. Add some heat, a few twists, and a half hour later, you get this. A beautifully crafted piece of hand-blown glass. But it all starts with
clear glass tubes about 1 inch in diameter and 4 feet or so long. And then I section that tube down into what I think of as a blank. So it looks like that. That's kind of the first step of an ornament.
his ornaments vary in design and color, but he doesn't sit and draw out his designs. He has a different approach.
I never kind of sat and drew a design from on paper and then went about making it. I just sat at the torch and started doodling with the glass and let it go from there.
Burns tries to push himself and his abilities by constantly coming up with new designs.
I started making ornaments, but I for a long time I tried never to make the same ornament twice. Every one was a stretch and I made it up as I went along. And that only goes so far, but through that exercise over a period of time, kind of a family of designs that seemed to work best sort of surfaced.
And from those designs, he adds a little color. But the color you see isn't done with paint.
Buy it in rods of various colors. They come thicker than I want to use them, so I'll draw them out in the flame to a finer point. And then in the flame, I'll kind of it's almost like painting it onto the clear tube in the flame. I melt them together.
But those twists, spirals, and designs you see, they weren't put on twisted that way.
All the twisties and spirals that you see in my ornaments, all that color went on straight originally. And then I remelted and twisted after the fact.
Even though the total time for making one glass ornament is around a half hour, it takes a lot of time and creativity. But glass blowing wasn't always something Burns was interested in. It's a kind of art that he just stumbled upon.
It's not something that I kind of always wanted to do. I guess I felt like I wanted to do something different, something creative, and I didn't know what it was. And I was just fortunate enough that an opportunity in glassblowing came up, and it just intrigued me, and I was just lucky, right place, right time, I guess you'd say.
And when tragedy struck the United States, he used his craftsmanship as a way to help.
9/11 happened. Everybody, I guess, felt compelled to do some little thing, some kind of gesture or whatever, and this is what I do, so this was my outlet. So I made a patriotic type design motif, that special case. She did some painting of some stars and some gold highlights, and it was a pretty elaborate effort, but I made two. Here in our community, we lost a member, Jonas Panic. He's from our area. We lost him in Pentagon that day, and so we made two of these, and we sent one to the White House, and we sent one to Jonas Panic's mom. Having sent one to the White House, I've never done anything like that before. I don't know how this works or what, and basically nothing happened. It was about 2 years later, and an envelope showed up in the mailbox from the White House, and it isn't a thank you to me. It's a very broad-based, generic thank you for the gift, but it's kind of neat to have it.
And he has that thank you hanging proudly on the wall of his workshop. Now, there are two types of glasswork done. The first is furnace glass blowing. The second is the type Burns focuses on, flame glass blowing. And you can't just grab any type of glass around your house and throw it under a flame. It takes a specific type to handle the heat.
The drinking glasses in your kitchen cupboard are not the same type of glass as this. In fact, if I treated any of that glass the same way I work with this, it would shatter. This is borosilicate glass, and it's designed to be resistant to temperature extremes so that it can be worked with in this way.
Handle extreme temperatures so that it can be blown, twisted, and shaped into the beautiful spiraled, colorful ornaments ready to hang on your Christmas tree. And though glass blowing is portable and can be easily transported, Burns stresses that it isn't something to just be played with. It must be used with caution and responsibility.
Because it can be done on such a small scale, and it's even quite portable, I travel around and do demonstrations and things. But for both of those reasons, I always worry that people will tend to get kind of casual about it. And while it doesn't take a lot of space and it is portable, it's fraught with hazards. So however you set up wherever you are, you really need to make sure you have the necessary information and know you're doing it right in terms of ventilation and things like that, because it is fraught with hazards.
But with all that in mind, according to Burns, glass blowing is a fun and unique skill to do and practice. And for any of you thinking about going into the business, he offers a few words of advice.
Probably one of the hardest things to get used to is how hard do you blow? That's kind of the first real mystery you have to resolve for yourself is hot is it and how hard you blow. It can expand out the way you want it to, or it can just get way too big and pop, and all sorts of things can go wrong.
But once you have that down, you can start making incredible glass pieces. Things like beautifully spiraled ornaments or a popular snowman figure for the upcoming holiday season. It started out as a blacksmith shop in the late 1800s. For most of its history, Altoona was known as a large railroad center, and to keep up with the hustle and bustle of busy travelers was Rikers. The station began selling gasoline in 1909, making that its official opening date. During the 1920s and 30s, Rikers was open 24/7, something that seems normal today but was simply unheard of back then. Today, Rikers has daily hours, but one thing they have not changed is their 5-star service.
So they're quick, and they're courteous and very professional, and clean your windshields, which is very unusual. Check your pressures.
They, as in employees, some of which have been there for over 20 years, like manager Russell Brown.
It's a privilege to work here. It's a real honor to work for the company, and a real honor to work for the oldest gas station in America.
The guys that work there take pride in what they're doing and enjoy the history of it.
And that pride and history is more than pumping gas. You pull into Rikers and you'll see an attendant with a smile, ready to help you with anything you need. And because of that, customers like Cheryl Nail have been coming to Rikers for the past 10 years.
I love it because I don't like to get out and pump gas. I don't like to smell like gas. In the windshield, it's full service. Air in my tires anytime I need it. Oil check, everything.
Service at no additional charge. Rikers was awarded the longest running gas station in America and has it proudly painted across the building. It came as a surprise to the Martin Oil Company, but it brought pride to the community.
We got incredible comments, which we did have posted all over Rikers about how much they appreciated the service and how nice and professional the attendants are. It's pretty neat if you're not having anybody pump your gas for you. It's a very nice experience.
Pump your gas, clean your windshield, something that has faded away in our area, most likely because of price. So why keep it going?
We're proud of that history. We think it represents, it's an important part of America. You know, it was a big part of the Industrial Revolution. It was a large part of why Altoona became successful. Or lived it, grew it all, and we just sort of think it's a neat part of history to be preserved.
And for the employees at Rikers, it keeps things interesting.
Every day is different. The people are different every day. There's always something new going on.
Something going on like Wacky Weekends, where every weekend it's 4 cents off a gallon of gas. And Rikers is able to do this and remain profitable, not just because of the service, but how quick they deliver it. So quick that they finish before we could even set up for an interview.
It's just good service. The faster in, faster out.
Rikers certainly holds its own.
The building is the same one that has been standing since 1909. Things like the roof have been replaced, but no additions have been added to the building. In fact, they still use the original safe from when the building first opened. The building, the employees, the service is unlike any other gas station in the area, and everyone at Rikers intends to keep it that way.
That high-touch customer service, we like it, so we've kept it going. We take a lot of pride in it. It's a neat place.
And when asked what keeps people coming back for years,
it's a service. You know, you get personal service every day. Every time you come in here, there's somebody waiting on you. I hope they take away that they had a good experience here.
We have every intention of continuing the tradition.
When we come back, we get a glimpse into summer with some fresh fruit. Welcome back to the center of it all. Now, one of the first stories I did here was on a local farm that made everything from homemade jams to jellies to drink mixtures. Take a look. Out with the old and in with the new is a saying you won't hear at Tate Farm. The over 130-acre farm still sells one original product that has been around for 4 generations, and they have the bottles to prove it. So what is this trendy and most popular item that has grown over the past 20 years? Shrub. Shrub is a drink mixture that started back in colonial times. The Tate Farm is the original seller of the mixture, which is made purely from fruit, distilled vinegar, and organic sugar. The farm started making shrubs in 1987, starting with raspberry, but it wasn't an instant hit.
We've been selling them in this community for a really long time. It's taken years to make it be known and popular and all those things.
With growing popularity, there are now 13 different types of shrubs sold. The newest addition to the family, grapefruit, was released just a few weeks ago and is made with organic grapefruit from Florida. The selection will expand in the fall with the addition of a pear mixture.
What we've discovered is that using different fresh fruits, we can create these wonderful new flavors of shrubs and mixers.
But shrub isn't just gaining popularity here. Travel to Maryland, New York, Virginia, and part of Ohio, and you'll see the fruity mixture sitting on the shelves.
What the local flavors are, and so on. That's a big movement all around the country. So I think that when people go to Colonial Williamsburg and they see our fruit shrub on the shelf there, they say, "Oh my gosh, that's from my hometown." So there's a pride, there's a ownership in that this comes from the area that I live.
And where is this delicious drink being made that is shipped all over the Mid-Atlantic? Right down the road in the middle of Boalsburg.
Local is the #1 consumer trend, and so I think that people are very proud of what comes from their local community, what makes their local community unique.
Shrub isn't the only thing made in Boalsburg. Tate Farm is also known for their delicious varieties of jams, and the drive behind it.
Our goal was to make a very clean, very pure and simple jams.
With the use of a citrus pectin, about 1/3 of sugar is used compared to commercial jams. This gave the jam a more natural and fresh fruit taste.
The flavor of the fruit to just come through, and it's just like putting, it's sort of the next best thing to putting a handful of fresh fruit into your mouth.
But for the family behind the farm, it wasn't just about producing local, natural products. They wanted people to be able to make a special connection between what they were tasting and a memory.
And often when people taste our jams, what they say is it harkens back to, "Oh my gosh, it tastes just like the pie my grandmother used to make." So it touches something, some fond memory or something, So we're always trying to help, our food connect people to good feelings and good experiences and, in their lives.
So out of the 12 different flavors available, which one should you try? Local favorites point to either sour cherry or the ever so famous Pennsylvania Dutch strawberry rhubarb. But fruit isn't the only thing sold at Tate Farm. They offer a variety of plants, and when winter flurries in, they have over 25 acres of Christmas trees. Even with the growing popularity of products over the years, co-owner Kim Tate still can't believe it's grown into what it is today.
You never know. You start something and then it goes.
When we come back, we take a peek at one man who makes beautifully crafted birds out of wood. Welcome back to the center of it all. I have found so many talented people here in central Pennsylvania, and this next story is no disappointment in how talented this community really is. It starts out with this, a simple piece of standard wood, but with a lot of time and patience, it begins to transform into this. And with a coat of paint, looks just like any owl you would find out in the wild. And that's something Roy Bond can promise. All his carvings are true to size.
Everything that I carve, I try to carve as close to lifelike as possible. And so I have a dossier on every bird that I carve. I like to photograph and measure my own birds and save feathers when possible. And then I have good reference books to also give me pictures of live birds instead of dead birds for the most part.
So precise, down all the way to the smallest details.
If it's to within a 1/16 of an inch or less.
Because that's what Bond likes to work on, the intricate details and patterns that come from owls and hawks.
I really prefer to carve hawks and owls. They offer a lot more challenges than a duck decoy. And I've done hundreds of duck decoys, and I'm sort of getting tired of that, and I like to do the little more challenging things. And for the last 2 years now, owls seem to be very hot for some reason. I stick with the basswood because it details so well, and that's what I like to do, is the detailed work.
So where did this love of wood carving start? It all began when Bond was just 11 years old and carving neckerchief slides. That hobby grew into a love of painting, and now Bond works with those two hobbies side by side to create the beautifully hand-carved and painted hawks, owls, and duck decoys he does today. But the road to get to that finished product doesn't happen overnight.
It's quite a process. You have to understand and research your product well to be able to do a good job at it.
It starts with 2 or 3 plain pieces of wood. Walnut and cherry are harder to carve, so he usually uses basswood because it's easier to carve details into. Then Bon glues and presses them together so tightly it is nearly impossible to see the line separating each piece of wood. Then you pick your pattern, and Bon has plenty of them hanging from the wall in his workshop.
Patterns up here on the wall, you make your patterns up, and that way you don't have to rebuild it from scratch every time. You put your pattern on your wood and lie it out, and you can saw it out and go to it.
Go to it he did. He's carved over 1,000 pieces of every size.
Smallest birds I do would be like a kingfisher. I don't do small songbirds. And it goes up from there. Mostly duck decoys and upland game birds and the hawks and the owls. And they're all carved life size. I don't like to do the little small birds.
He says on average it takes around 40 hours for him to finish one piece. But one project took him 3 months and he has it on display in his house. A full-size Eastern turkey, carved with intricate detail, hand-painted, and of course, true to size. Carvings in the winter, and for the last 40 years has specialized in birds, mainly ducks in the East Coast, hawks, and owls.
People want something a little special or a little different, or something that I don't have on the shelf at the time.
But if someone wants something he doesn't already have done, he has no problem getting a new piece of wood, picking up his tools, and getting to work. Thanks for joining me every Sunday morning and watching the stories about you all that make this area so special. Now, I get up here and host this show for you guys every week, but I am definitely not perfect. Take a look at some of my best moments from 2016, and I'll see you next time.
All right, ready?
Welcome back to the center of it all. If you're looking for a new
Words for.
Welcome back. Grilling hamburgers and 3. We go to visit a unique restaurant that reminds I kind of stumbled over Phillipsburg.